Okay, through you, Chair Maloney, we are now live on YouTube, and I will just get the screen up for you.
Thank you.
Okay, we should be seeing the shared screen now.
I do.
Excellent.
Don't see any of the speakers, however.
That may be a view setting for yourself there.
Okay, under standard maybe. Yes, got it.
There it is.
Standard. Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, over to you.
So we're good to go. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, everybody. Welcome this morning to winter in Hamilton Township. So have the agenda before us for the May 27th meeting. I'm joining you. Dan will not be present this morning. Dan and I are still involved in the OAPSB conference that started yesterday. This morning's session, actually most of today's section actually is about the Section 10 boards and the OPP detachment rollout and getting some good information we'll be able to share when we come back from that for sure. Dan's going to stay there as the Director of Community Safety is doing her presentation currently on the proposals and the like. So we're actually picking up that information as we speak. So in addition to that, there is a Section 10 election at 11:45 that I should be participating in. So we'll see how the schedule goes this morning. If I have to depart for that, I will do that and we'll just continue onward. So, all right, before you have an agenda, call the meeting to order. Is there a declaration of any pecuniary interest this morning? Okay, none. Hearing none. Any additions to the agenda? Faye, anything additional?
I have nothing.
Okay, item number 5, which is confirmation of the agenda. There will not be an in-camera session. The matter we were going to deal with in camera would be a public matter now. So we specifically will not have an in-camera session unless there's some additional reason to do that. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda then, as amended? Moved by Mark, seconded by Bill. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay. No delegations. Approval of the previous minutes. Item number 7. You have before you the minutes of the police board meeting for the 22nd of April. Any amendments, corrections, or deletions? Okay, hearing none. Motion to approve is printed, please. Moved by Bill, seconded by Terry. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Is there any business arising from the minutes? Okay, quiet group this morning. We're all paying attention to the clock, I think. Well done. Okay, so correspondence and communication, nothing specifically to pick up. Item number 10, OAPSB updates. Well, the biggest part of that is what's going on as we speak. I mentioned that in the introduction part. The conference commenced yesterday at noon. A good afternoon session on strategic planning and community involvement in setting up community well-being initiatives. A presentation by the Chief Superintendent from OPP Northwest Ontario. Good session. The virtual reception is an interesting thing at 5 o'clock. How you have a reception and how you do it virtually is kind of an interesting difference from what we might have been when we were there for the conference, but a couple of speakers and some presentations, it was cool. Then all day today, the workshops, as I mentioned at the outset, relate to the rollout of the Community Safety Act, and we're picking up information as we speak. A couple little changes so far. I can refer to those later on in the agenda when we get talking about the proposal itself. That's it for OIPSB updates. Item 11, financial reports. Faye, can I turn it over to you, please?
Sure. There's not much. It's just got the first numbers for 2021. So normally at this time of year, we'd be at 42% of our budget. We've only used 32% of our budget. So we're on track. So we're doing well.
Can you give us a status on the reserves at this point?
I haven't got those numbers yet. I'm waiting to get those, but once I get them, I'll forward them to you.
Yes, please. I'd like to know specifically. Great, thank you. Any questions to Faye about the finances? Mark?
Just a quick one. In relation to the other expenditures, is that the donations we normally make at the beginning of the year? And is that why that's so close at this time of the year?
Yes. Yes, those are the first ones we did. Instead of taking it directly out of reserves, we first used what we budgeted. And then if we do any other donations, we'll take that out of reserves.
Okay, thank you for that.
Okay, anything further on the financials? Okay, hearing none, a motion to receive for information, please. Mark? Moved by Mark, seconded by, I don't see everybody up here, so I can't tell who. Need a seconder?
You have Terry.
Terry. Terry's flashing there. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. We're going to move to the detachment commander's report, but is Arthur joined us yet, Emily?
Yes,
Yes, Chair. Arthur's with us.
Arthur's with us.
I am here.
Oh, thank you. I had promised Arthur that we would try to get him on near the front of the agenda. Is that okay if we can deal with that now? Everybody okay with that? Okay, if they are, then Arthur, we all have correspondence that you have sent us on an upcoming potential meeting in ATVs. Do you want to kick off the discussion and see where we'd like to go with this?
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for the space on your agenda. I had put the request through to attend the meeting to raise that council is having a special meeting of council with the public on June the 10th. Purpose of the meeting is to discuss the ATV use in the township. Presently, they're not permitted, but with the change to the Highway Traffic Act, the possibility exists for council to pass a bylaw to permit them. The bylaw that was passed in December was to continue with the status quo, which was to continue the prohibition in the township. And that obviously has both usage, enforcement, and sort of a community impact. Council committed to have a discussion on the issue before the end of June 30th. And that was our plan, was to hold off to have a meeting, but with the continued lockdown, that in-person meeting is not being held, but we're having a virtual meeting on Thursday, June the 10th, at which time council's looking at having basically input from the community before a decision is reached. We've been using our social media. We've been using our Bang the Table site to promote the initiative as far as the discussion around it, or the community input. We've also included a survey where there's approximately half a dozen questions that individuals can complete with respect to the use, whether they want to support it, whether they want it to occur, any other feedback and questions as well. The Bang the Table is directed to township residents, so we're really focused on getting that township input as opposed to someone responding to a survey from well outside the area. So again, with the feedback from the survey, with the reports and information that's been posted on Bang the Table or on this community facilitation site, we're hoping to have the meeting, useful meeting on Thursday the 10th. We've set it up so we'd have a brief discussion with council, but also presentations or availability of information. I believe through Jeff Martin or Mario Royer, that the contact has at least been made to hold the date. And we're also looking to include an ATV or a presentation, perhaps by the ATV Northumberland Club as well. So we're trying to make, and sorry, one last one is the health unit's been invited as also. I think that covers sort of the context of where the meeting came from, how we've set it up, how we've been trying to get community input, and our desire to have Police Services Board aware of it, invited, and also the OPP invited for their participation and their knowledge dealing with ATVs in the county.
Okay, thank you, Arthur. I know at some point you were interested in having a comment from the OPP itself specifically. Jeff, would you like to pick it from there?
I'm not sure about comment, Mr. Chair, but Staff Sergeant Royer and myself are making ourselves available for June the 10th for any questions and answers that would be specific to enforcement.
Okay, Arthur, go ahead, Bill. Bill, I see your hand.
Couldn't get myself unmuted, sorry. I think it might be beneficial, Jeff, if you could maybe just make some general statements about what's occurring in municipalities that do have ATVs on the roads, and what kind of differences you would see there compared to what you see in our municipality where they're not supposed to be on the road. Is there how you see it as an enforcement problem, how you see it as what difference there is? I guess I'm sorry, I'm fishing around here, Jeff, but I believe at one point you told me there was a difference in the rider attitude when they knew that they were actually allowed to be on the road, as opposed to them sneaking onto the roads and trying to avoid detection and so on. And those are just the kind of things that I thought might be beneficial for not only council, but members of the public to hear. And I don't know if that's putting too much pressure on you or not, but we're really trying to get as much information as we could probably get to be made public, including legal opinions, our own legal department, for example, our insurance department, just everything we could possibly get out there, because when council makes this decision, we're going to make some people happy and we're going to make some people very unhappy. Regardless of which way it goes, we're in a complete no-win situation. So the very least I want to be able to say is that we have done our absolute due diligence in getting as much possible information as we could get before we made the decision. So I'll throw that back in your lap and see if you have any ideas about some sort
Please,
of
Jeff.
small presentation or whatever.
Yeah, and of course, I'll be careful of personal opinion. I think you all know that I have fairly quite a few years of experience myself in patrol ATV trails, so I can speak on my own findings. But I'll be careful not to be far-reaching in what my opinion is. I'll have some analytics for the past 3 years that I can provide during that meeting, as far as calls for service and whatnot, and that might mesh quite well with the complaints that the municipal office receives as well. Comparatively between other municipalities, I wouldn't have that data available, Bill. So I know what I know what you're getting at there. I'm just trying to think of what I would, how I would bring that in from other municipalities. I don't want to misquote anybody or pass along facts that aren't true. What I could do is pull in comparatively calls for service to the OPP in the municipalities that have legalized it, and see where we are there. But I wouldn't try to guess on attitude of riders. But I think in looking at our past conversations, that is a factor, but it's not something that I can say happens day in, day out.
Yeah, I appreciate you don't want to make personal opinions. That council's going to have to try and be the same. I mean, I obviously have an opinion as to what I believe about ATVs on the road. I'm going to try and put that on the shelf for the meeting. I'm going to try to make a decision based on facts and presentations, and so I get exactly where you're coming from. I just thought you had, I thought you mentioned one time that part of there's more speeding involved where they're not supposed to be on the road because they're actually trying to, get on the road, get to the next exit and get off the road before they encounter a black and white. So
Yeah, and we have discussed that before. We know that does happen sometimes. And I don't mind speaking to that because we know that to be true in some areas. I just can't say specifically in Hamilton that's the case.
No.
But we have in our offices that are ATV patrol have come very timely, have come across
sorry.
riders that they've stopped and they said, well, why did you run? Well, I knew it was illegal to be on the road. So I can touch on that. I just don't have the data exactly to say when and where that happened or if it did happen in Hamilton. It's a human behavior piece of it.
Okay.
Uh,
Arthur, do you have anything else that you
Just-
need?
No, just through you, Chair. I appreciate the fact that, again, the Police Services Board now is aware that we are getting the cooperation of the OPP to participate in the forum, and we're going to have, we hope, at least a good discussion to allow council to then make a decision upon. So thanks for at least allowing me to raise that today with you.
Thank you for your attendance. So the meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, for June the 10th, Sorry.
Thursday, June 10, yes.
Thursday. And the time?
I believe it's 1 to, sorry. I just want to make sure I give you the right time.
Sure. We're being recorded.
Sorry, I just don't have it with me right now. I think we were setting that up to be 2 to 5, potentially. I will confirm that exact time with you.
Sure. Thank you. Then.
Emily, you don't happen to have it there, do you?
I have that in front of me, Arthur, 2 to 4, possibly extended to 5.
That's why had the 5 in my mind. We were trying the 2-hour period. Thank you, Jeff. And then if it does drag on, it would be until the 5 o'clock as well.
Okay. So June the 10th, 2 to 4.
2 to 4, and then if necessary to extend it, it would go the extra hour. But
Great.
right now it's 2 till 4.
Great. So noted then.
Thank you.
Okay, Arthur, thanks for bringing us into the loop. Appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff, for the information. And
Thanks.
we'll look forward to an exciting meeting.
Sure will.
No doubt. Okay. Thank you
Bye
very
for
much.
now.
Okay, cool. All right. So that concludes the item number 14. So Jeff, could I refer back to you, please? And we'll pick up on the detachment commander's report, item number 12.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jeff.
Emily, if you don't mind, I'm going to try to share my screen, if that's possible, tech-wise. That might be a little bit easier. So as I deliver the report, I can click on the screen if that's okay with you.
Sure, I'll just give you controls here and you should have the option to share screen.
I do have the tab, so let me know when I'm good to go.
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay. Okay,
Cool.
tells me that I'm sharing the screen, so hopefully everybody can
And
see
you are.
that. Excellent. So our April report for Hamilton, our public complaints maintains at 1, and that's for a service complaint that's making its way through the process. Secondary employment remains at 2. Daily activity report hours, 172.5. Number of foot patrol hours in the municipality, 12.75. A couple staffing updates. Traffic Sergeant Mark Collins. Mark officially retired from the OPP as a sergeant on May 14th, in May, but not April, but I thought I would bring that to the board's attention. And Mark's officially retired, and we had appropriate PPE socially distanced mini function at Coburg here. And Mark was, I was happy to give Mark his retirement sergeant job. Mark is coming back on contract as a part-time constable working within our detachment traffic unit. So we're very lucky to have Mark back in that capacity. He certainly knows the ins and outs of all the traffic hot spots and community concerns throughout the county, including in Hamilton. So Mark will be coming back the second week of June and working on a part-time basis within our traffic unit. Further update, we are receiving 6 new recruit probationary constables in Northumberland detachment, also the second week of June. So we've significant plannings put in place whenever new police officers are hitting the field. So we have all of our coach officers in that program set up with them. Very happy to receive an additional 6 recruit officers. Further good news, it looks like Northumberland will be getting a further 4 officers new to the detachment in September. At least 2 of those will be recruits as well, and the other 2 would be experienced officers. Some detachment initiatives, just a sample of what's been going on throughout the county and in Hamilton. Ride initiatives, we had 32 throughout the county. A commercial motor vehicle initiative specific to Hamilton was in April, which resulted in 46 charges and 37 warrants. And that was a cooperative joint effort between the MTO and the OPP in Hamilton. And it was conducted to address concerns on half-load roads, in particular in Hamilton Township. And over the course of 3 hours, there were 40 commercial motor vehicles inspected, and 25, as I mentioned before, 46 charges and 37 warrants. And we used the commercial motor vehicle scales that were purchased for the detachment last year. So a very successful initiative. Also, a couple more samples of media. There we go. A little bit about, we talk a lot about ATVs, of course, within Hamilton, and we have our ongoing detachment ATV patrol on most weekends, and that's through a county pay duty process. Our SAVE unit and their specialized officers from region, and their mandate is trails, roadways, and marine. So they came down over the Easter weekend, and you can see the results of their efforts there. Most of those charges took place between Hamilton and Alma-Calderman. I believe a little bit of Ganaraska Forest there in Port Hope as well. Another local media release on a drug investigation. Corporate communication on from Aurelia on seatbelts. I've added this piece for the board's information. This is internal with the OPP, but it's from our Communications and Technology Support Bureau. And it's just, I think it really emphasizes how the OPP, especially comms and technology, they're always looking for further efficiencies and effectiveness to get our officers, keep our officers on the road, keep them in the communities, rather than tie them down in the office or behind a keyboard. So just a couple of examples here. On the first page, this speaks to 911 calls, either the way that we respond to 911 calls now or how they're diverted. So they've estimated that in this time period of January 1st to March 31st, there's been a savings of 30,309 hours of officer time. Next page, the top portion of it is about our online reporting program, which we do encourage if it meets the criteria and doesn't need an officer to investigate. So that during that time saved 917 hours of frontline officer time. Autumn portion is about our automated dictation software and program, and they're always doing updates and new versions to make it quicker and end user easy for officers as well. And I think 2,116 hours of frontline saved through that latest version of that program as well. Onto the statistics portion of the report. Motor vehicle collisions, there was 45 collisions throughout the county in April. There were 2 fatalities. Unfortunately, both were off-road vehicle related. Next is our violent crime report. We did have 5 occurrences of violent crime in April in Hamilton, 2 sexual assaults, 3 assaults in total, but the assaults where there was an altercation at the Knights Inn where a female was charged with assault. The second was a domestic dispute related where a male was charged with assault. And the third assault incident was a vehicle found idling in a carpool lot. And when this individual was approached and spoken to by the officer, the driver closed the officer's arm in the window and attempted to flee and did flee the scene, which did result in the officer receiving injury. The man was charged with flight from police, driving while under suspension, obstruct peace officer, and assault peace officer. And make sure I'm on the right page here for everyone. Next portion is the property crime report. 7 in total, so up just a couple from last year at this time. One theft over 5,000, which was a case of a complainant's trailer with tools inside being stolen, and the approximate value of goods inside was 12 to 15,000. That investigation is still ongoing. Two cases of theft under 5,000. One being a complainant had a license plate stolen off his truck, and that's still being investigated. And another was an impaired driving incident resulting in multiple charges, including theft under 5,000. So that was an offshoot of the larger impaired investigation. Two fraud complaints. One was a case of a complainant. He sent an e-transfer, so another one of the online frauds, of course, and the recipient said they never received it, but the e-transfer was accepted. So those are very difficult to investigate, and it's usually a buyer beware education we try to get up front. Two cases of mischief. One was a male kicked in a door looking for his girlfriend at the Night Sim, and another was a vehicle vandalized overnight while in the complainant's driveway. We had one case of a drug, which was a trafficking charge. A traffic complaint resulted in the driver being charged with several CDSA or drug criminal charges and weapons offenses. Next is our clearance page, reflecting the charges at the time of the report. Our matters of interest page for your reading pleasure. Total number of calls for service OPP in Hamilton was 148 in April. And we continue to track our COVID non-compliance calls, and quite a bit higher in April at 22. For the board's information, just over the past long weekend as well, I think it's good news. There was only 2 calls placed to the OPP over the May long weekend, which would have been categorized as COVID non-compliance. And one was a case of a neighbor calling in on one of his neighbors having construction, what he felt to be non-essential construction being done, which was not the case. And then another report of a residence with 20 to 30 people gathering in the backyard, and upon the officer's arrival, everyone had left or had never possibly been there. So I'll click through the matters of interest and let me know if you have any questions about any of those. Takes us to our countywide motor vehicle collision template, showing what collisions are going on where throughout the county, and Hamilton showing a decent low number of 3 in April. All 3 were property damage only, and brings your year-to-date total to 19 motor vehicle collisions in Hamilton. Provincial Offense Act charges, so how many tickets were handed out by our officers in April? 67 total in Hamilton. 28 on the 401 and 39 elsewhere within the municipality. And our last page is our false alarm report, a nice round number of 0 false alarms. So like to see that, of course, because officers aren't wasting their time and are available for proactive patrol elsewhere in the municipality. And pending any questions, Mr. Chair, that is the April report.
Thank you, Jeff. Very concise as usual. Thank you for the updates. Are there questions for the detachment commander on his monthly report? Okay, hearing none. There you go, Jeff. Very complete, obviously. So motion to receive for information, please. Moved by Mark, seconded by Terry. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Thanks again, Jeff. Okay, item number 12. Item number 13 has been replaced by, well, the in-camera matter is now replaced by an open session matter having to do with the OPP detachment boards. Just to bring the Police Service Board up to speed on what's occurred to date, and then I'll add whatever information I can as of this morning's announcements. I'm pleased to advise the board that Hamilton Township Council has received our recommendation and has approved unanimously the submission to the Solicitor General of the OPP Detachment Board, which is now the new language, I guess, Jeff, you pointed out to me, right? It's called OPP Detachment Board. That's what we're trying to use, correct? Correct, yes. It's instead of single OPP, so an OPP Detachment Board. All 5 councils, likewise within Northumberland, are on side to participate with that proposal. And I'm also pleased to publicly announce that in addition to that, for the first time ever, the participation of a member of First Nations will also be a member of the board, putting a 10-person potential board in place should it be approved by the working group that's with the Solicitor General, which is something we discovered this morning, that there is a provincial working group whose responsibility will be to review all of the proposals to see if there's any more flexibility needed, and get back to us as the regulations will roll out. It will consist of a 10-person board, 5 elected representatives, 2 community representatives, 2 representatives appointed by the province, and 1 First Nation representative. That would become the new OPP Detachment Board for the Northumberland Detachment. A media release we worked on a media release for all councils to use if they wish to so do that. That was distributed to all concerns last week for their opportunity to put in their own participation pieces if they wish. Bill made a comment in Hamilton Townships for our use. I, as chair, likewise put a comment in and was in touch with MPP Pacini's office, who was quite interested in participating in both the media release and to make a public statement about his support of the proposal for the 5 councils. So that was included in the media release likewise. So it seems like everybody's together on board. The date of submission was due for June 7. Vice Chair Bessel indeed has submitted that. Now Hamilton Township was asked to do it on behalf of the other councils, which is what the Solicitor General had asked, that there be 1 representative group to indeed submit that. So that's what's in place. Now we will just wait for the parties that be to see what the next steps will be. So any questions about that at this point? And then I'll share with you some late breaking news from this morning's conference as far as we know today. Any comments about it? Okay, hearing none then, from what I can see. Some of the pieces of information that I received as best I could this morning, and Dan Bessel is still there, as I said, picking up the information. The presentation this morning is from Sarah Caldwell, who is the Director of Community Safety and Intergovernmental Relations. The presentation style was very, very accommodating, very flexible. The idea being, we want to work with local communities to come up with something that is particularly useful for their own local community, which indeed I applaud. That's a nice, refreshing approach to how this might work, and frankly, comes out of Northumberland's approach to this whole thing, frankly, about trying to make this thing work for within our own local community. What's of interest is, as of today, already the first set of regulations have been posted on the government's website, looking for comment on the first round. I don't know exactly what those first group will cover, but we'll pay attention to what those regulations look like to see around some of the specifics. In addition, there will be a wave of additional regulations posted through summer and through fall, all looking for public input and comment, as to quote her, so that we make sure we design this the right way, that it works for you and your communities. Okay, that sounds good. We'll pick up and respond on that. Timelines, the proposals will be before a working group who is going to review them to see how they fit with their guidelines. And if there's any questions, we'll hear further back from them. Specifically, the working group will look to see whether the minimum criteria is set around community partnerships and the provincial appointments. The idea being that the new OPP detachment boards will take over effective spring of 2022. As soon as that date was kind of confirmed, all kinds of chat bounces started coming about, what about the municipal election? What's the connection between that and the municipal election? How is that whole thing going to overlap? And it was just at that time that it was time to open up the Hamilton Township Police Service Board. So I don't know quite what the answer to that will be. I'll find out this afternoon, no doubt, as we see how that goes. So that's it. That's an update for our board as well as for the public, anyone who's listening and watching, as to the proposal for a OPP detachment board. Okay. Any questions or comments on how we got here, or bring some closure to this, I believe? Okay, and hearing none, a motion, I guess, to receive that report for information, please. Moved by Bill, seconded by, I wonder if Terry's there. I'm not sure. Maybe Terry waves at me and I don't see him. Say hi, Terry, or something. Yeah, cool. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. All right. Item number 14, retention list. But just before we do that, Faye, you dropped me a text just 10 minutes ago about reserve status. You now have that update on reserve status. Can you share it with the board, please?
Sure. I just reminded Linda she can send me the numbers. So as of the end of March, our reserve balance was $43,754.90. That's what we have available to us in the reserves.
So approximately $43,000 for everybody's information. Just park that, okay? Which is a healthy balance.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's go on with your retention list then, please. Item number 14.
Okay, as a continuation on from last month, I'm going through all the lovely boxes of paperwork and trying to get our all our documentation according to the retention policy. So this is another list of items that are required to be destroyed. I just need approval to have them destroyed. Basically, it's just all old agendas and minutes from 2010.
Okay, that's a recommendation from Faye. Do I have a mover, please? Moved by Bill, seconded by Terry. And that these documents be destroyed, correct?
Yes.
All right, that's the motion. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And thank you, Faye, for helping us clean things up.
Oh, no problem.
Item number 14, a letter from Northumberland Community Service Order Program. This is an order, this is a program who's communicating with us looking for some kind of financial support. I noted in the letter, because it's the support comes out of the OPP, sorry, the Port Hope Police Service. There's a reference there from Jeff. Do you have some information on what this service does for us?
Just trying to find my mute. Yes, sorry, Mr. Chair, I didn't have an opportunity to review that.
It looks like the chair is a staff sergeant from the Port Hope Police Service, and the chair is Wayne Smith. I see that.
Just trying to pull this document down so I can see the
Okay.
bottom.
Yep. Kathy Travis.
Yeah, I'd need an opportunity to review that a little bit more, Mr. Chair.
Can I make a motion, Mr. Chair, then that we
Please.
bring this back to our next meeting?
That would be sound. That would be
Okay.
cool. So defer to the next meeting. Seconded by Bill. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. Okay, Jeff, I wonder if you could be prepared to make some comments on it at the next meeting about what your involvement or what our involvement, indeed what our community involvement might be to see whether it's a worthy initiative for us to support.
Certainly will.
In addition to that, Faye, I think we could be in touch with Kathy and ask if she would like to make a presentation to us.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, let's do that as well. Okay, thank you. That's item number 14. I hate to be rushing things through, but we have a busy day. Item number 15 is the next meeting date. Is there anything else for the good of the community well-being before we look at that? Anything else to bring up? No? Okay, thank you. Well, the next meeting, regular time on June 24th of 2021. Okay. And dates to remember are outlined there before you. Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody, for your efficiency this morning. We'll continue on with our busy day that everybody has. So thank you all. Take care. Stay well. A motion to adjourn. Bill? Terry? All in favor? Carried. Take care and enjoy that nice weather out there.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Faye.
Thank you.
Emily.